How sweet is it to do that?
That's all we have to go on right now. And it, yeah, when I'm building here, so it's like when we're in a building, I know. There's some windows on the alleyway. You got to down here. In the alley, yeah, of the building, yeah.
My parents only watch murder shows, and I'm like, you need to like
Well,
diversify
you know,
because
in the back.
I'm gonna have to see
I'm just getting here, so I want to
No.
here's my diagram.
And I was.
So I get out.
certification week, that's what I thought. One desk that was over there.
That must be section 3. Is that very warm? Yeah.
You're very fancy.
Now, the other half is that kind of full of stuff, it's going to wipe it up. Well, it's the top whiting lower half isn't even matched. Well, if you go like this, you get the brown difference.
Yes, I know.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, for about 50.
He's zooming?
That's what he
Oh,
said
there he
he was
is.
going to,
Okay.
but, okay, so.
All right, it's 7, we can go ahead and get started. I'll call to order the May 17, 2022 Pendleton Board of Zoning Appeals. Do a roll call starting to my left.
Jerry Burmeister.
Kyle Eichhorn.
Jenny Sisson.
And virtually.
James King's here.
All right, we have a quorum. On your drive, you have the previous minutes. If you want to take a look at those, and I'll entertain a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
All right, so motion in a second. Since we have virtual, we'll do a roll call vote.
James King,
Yes,
Jenny Sisson,
Yes.
Kyle Eichhorn,
Yes.
and Jerry Burmeister.
Yes.
All right, minutes approved. On to old business, condemnation hearing for 116 to 120 West State Street. Steve Bucci.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Brett and I and Chris Nodine, the fire chief, and Jim Cook, who's basically an inspector, learning the ropes. We looked at the Boosie building yesterday, went through it, and saw progress. And so I would like to recommend that we give them an extra 30 days to continue to seal up the building. And then once that's complete, come back for another check-in like we're doing today, 30 days from now. And then talk about the structural issues that need to be addressed. So we're trying to go in sequence of importance as far as, well, common sense sequence of how to get the building hopefully back in order. So that's what we're recommending at this point. If you have any questions, Brett and I are obviously both here, and Chris Nodine is zoomed in, fire chief. Questions for staff?
So you guys have been out there, has anyone else?
No,
It's just been your inspection.
just get the tower inspection.
In your opinion, Scott, I mean, Steve is working, trying to make.
Yep, he showed progress, he's cleaned up. He sealed up the buildings, he's got a lot of the windows in place, there's still some to the back that are not replaced yet, but we're seeing progress. He's done a little bit structurally, not much, but a little bit. And we talked with him about what's going to come next as far as the structural issues.
I guess, do we want to give him an opportunity to speak? Or
Sure.
do you want to add anything to the discussion?
I agree that I've made progress. I would say it is substantial progress, not just a little. As far as the windows on the back of the building, it's my intention to cover that up and get it back to original. So why put glass in it? Well, I'm going to cover it up. I was hoping the town attorney would be here. I have to say this. I personally feel like the front of the building is safe for human occupation. He was telling me that you have to condemn the whole building, and I wanted to ask the attorney if we could just say the front is okay and that the rear garage is not okay and still needs repairs. Because in my opinion, the front half is nowhere near in a state of collapse. I have my children, my grandchildren, my great-grandchildren in there. There's no way I would put them in there if I thought it was unsafe. This is hurting Black Swan tremendously, not me. H&R Block's kind of closed more or less for the summer. I have agreed with them on, I think, pretty much everything that they're requesting to do so far. It's just a matter of it takes a lot more time to do it, but the front, in my opinion, is safe. They disagree. There's no way I put my kids in there, grandkids. I've been walking into that building for over 30 years. It's not gonna collapse. Even the report that the town had done says right on page 1 that it's not in danger of collapse. Right on page 1, about 3/4 of the way down. I do intend to do the things that they've requested. I just don't agree with the condemn portion. Maybe there's a way of saying that the front is okay for occupation and that the back is not. My tenants have agreed to always come in the front door and only have their customers in the front of the building. If you've been over there, you'll see that the back portion where the zigzag feature is an add-on. That's the one thing I disagree about is that it's gonna collapse, because it's, in my opinion, not gonna. Other than that, I appreciate the 30 days. I've already contacted a bricklayer to do the requested repairs around one of the windows. The problem with that is they're 2 to 3 weeks behind, so I'm hoping that's done before the next meeting. But there again, it's bad, but I don't think that wall's gonna collapse. Your own engineers said it's not. That's about it. And then I'll give him a chance to reply, because I know he disagrees with me, and he thinks the front's gonna collapse. If the back of your house needed roof repair, would you condemn the whole house, or would you just tell the homeowner, fix the back? You need a new roof on your garage. You wouldn't condemn the whole house and tell the people to get out.
Okay, thank you, Steve. What do you like?
I guess if, yeah, I guess if you have some.
So I have the report here. So in the report, what they were talking about is that they were recommending certain repairs be done before the first winter, and this was in 2019. None of those repairs have been done. So the way, if you read through the report, what they're saying is, these are imminent repairs that need to be done. So they need to be done before the first heavy snow. All right. So they think that's when the next heavy snow will put the building in a compromising position, and that was in 2019, right? Stress level. So my fear about, well, let me go back, big picture stuff from the town standpoint. So you might not know this, but there was a building collapse this week.
Alexandria?
No, it was in town. It was in town. It was a steel building with wood trusses, probably 30, how many trusses? 30 to 40?
Yeah, probably.
Two were broke, and no wind situation. From the first crack they heard till it was completely down was 15 seconds.
The owners knew that there were two trusses that were broken. They were in the process of getting estimates to get them two trusses repaired on private property. So, and that was the only, just come from the owner, that was the only structural problem they knew that they had had or were dealing with at the time, so.
So the back is the worst. We could go over photos if you would like. And then there's sort of like a back, and then the middle, and then the front. The problem with the collapse is
Probably they.
is that you?
Might be. Let's listen to it on Zoom.
Okay. Sorry. So is the domino effect. Those sections are tied to each other. So if you get a collapse, it can push against the next wall next to it, and then that would collapse, then it would push against the next wall. So it's not like they're three separate, they're not, like the back is not a separate building, they're tied into each other. And so they could have that danger, even if they were separated and not tied to each other, right? You still have what I just described as a collapse, knocking against another wall, knocking against another wall. And if a collapse, when it goes like that, it goes very, very fast.
Well, I believe we had stated we wanted an engineer to come back.
Right.
That's
Update evaluation.
right,
Yeah,
because it has been several years.
right. So I've made some contacts on that, and we're gonna be arranging that in this next 30-day period.
And I guess, and I hear you, Mr. Busey, I understand there's tenants, but when there's a condemned situation, the liability shifts away from you and shifts totally on the town. So as a town, we're responsible if to any patrons, anyone in our community near that building, if something were to happen. So we have to make sure that it's been checked off by a professional. And because we don't know when a storm or something is going to come through, we never expected a tornado. And there have been in our county a couple of different times now, downtown building structures completely fall, and one's been within the last week. That same town dealt with a big pile of bricks and rubble about a year or two ago as well. And those are scary situations. And again, it's about liability and making sure we're doing the right thing for the community.
Also, I forgot to ask if the fire chief had any comments. I believe he's online, if he can hear us. Chief, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Yeah, I have to, agree with everything that has been stated so far, as, the thought of having, patrons in there and something catastrophic happen, it's, you just don't know what's going to happen and stuff. And especially if we get a big storm or big rain that would be coming through, just like, Scott was stating that yesterday, the 60 foot by 120 foot barn collapse, a sunny day, it just had 2 wooden trusses. And then this has got several, bowed wall stuff that we know that if one goes, the whole thing can go. And I just feel very uncomfortable by having any type of patrons in the front of the building for the Black Swan.
Thank you, Chief.
Yeah, thanks, Chris. So I guess based on, what we heard, I'll look to entertain a motion to extend the 30-day window to have the envelope sealed on the building.
I make a motion to extend the 30 days.
Wait a second.
One second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion?
I'd just like to thank Steve for showing good faith that he's getting some work done and just keep it up. But we're not to the point yet where we can even consider opening that building yet. But keep up the good work.
Board, just for clarification, I assume this doesn't have any effect on the other deadlines in the order.
Yeah, I don't think, we're not gonna address those at this time.
Okay. So just part B, 1B is extended for 30 days. Yes, thank you.
May we ask the attorney that question, that maybe a month from now, we can open the front, even if I don't have the back done yet?
I think we'd need some professional evaluation.
Yeah.
We're not just gonna make that decision.
No.
That needs to be professionally evaluated.
From a legal standpoint, it's possible, but the professionals, and then ultimately this board has to make the decision.
And I think Mr. Reske had mentioned that they were looking into maybe in the future having someone come back and another professional thing on top of our building commissioner, on top of our fire chief, another opinion.
Yeah,
Professional engineer.
It's gonna take all three, the building inspector, the fire department, and the professional engineers.
Right.
Saying, yes, it's safe for occupancy before we would consider that.
Right.
And I mean, having that PER report in documentation is big from a liability standpoint, and we want that.
Huge. Yeah.
All right, any other discussion on the motion? All right, we'll do a roll call vote.
Jerry Burmeister,
We're voting for,
In favor of extending the 30 days for sealing the envelope of the building.
yes.
Kyle Icorn,
Yes.
Jenny Sisson,
Yes.
and James King.
Yes.
All right, motion carries. Any other input?
I got a quick question if you have time.
Sure.
So what's keeping the building from being occupiable? Is it the structural issues or is it sealing the envelope of the building? And if it's the structural issues, is there one particular structural issue that overrides everything else, or is it a series of them?
So, yeah, we probably need to restate that. I don't think you were here for the initial hearing. So all we're doing right now is sealing up the building so that there's no further deterioration, okay? There are several beams, joists, structural members that are compromised. If they're wooden, there are several of them have rotted through and have no structural integrity left. There's some masonry issue, the keystone arches on some of the windows, the mortar is gone. We've got mortar that is missing from the chimney. And then we've got some holes in the masonry wall, which are load-bearing walls, where there was no frame, when they were knocked out, there was no frame or header, lintel, whatever the term you want to use, put in there to hold the brick in place, to bridge the opening. So there are several standalone structural issues that just alone, one of those issues could create could cause a collapse, but we have several of those. There's also some repairs there's other things we could go into a lot more detail. But just know that there are several structural issues. They're not just one. And so that issue is structure. Not even getting into the peeling the onion, the next thing after structure will be to address fire safety.
Excuse me, I don't mean to interrupt, but the hole you're talking about up there was done 25 years ago, and it hasn't collapsed.
All right, so thanks for reminding us, which makes it even more dangerous that it's been that long, because mortar continues to deteriorate over time, and 25 years is pretty significant. Does that answer your question, Mr. King?
And so taken individually, any of the structural call-outs could result in denial of occupancy, is that right?
Absolutely.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, looks like no new business then.
No new business.
All right. Any other discussion?
I have none.
All right, meeting adjourned.
I do intend to completely cooperate.
Oh, you've been great, and I was gonna,
The condemnation portion.
the,